Welcome, everybody. Hope we're all okay out there. Here we are again, 12 o'clock. We've got another live stream, which is going out to you today. We've always had some great guests. Today's a good friend of mine who's come on with us. So just to start with, we've got to thank a couple of people to start with. First, which is Triton Security and Graham Fox for the sponsor for today. Anybody else out there who wants to sponsor us, just get in touch on our Facebook page. You can be able to find everything from there. Once we've got that all up and running, we've got our Simply video in the background. It's quite funny, this, because Jermaine's actually texting me at the same time while I'm going through this. It's great, isn't it? You know, he's trying to put me off already. You know, he's coming up and saying, nice kitchen, nice bathroom. It's like, you know, come on, give me a chance here. You know, we Simply video in the background. Absolutely, yeah, fantastic as always. They're looking after our streaming services, and they've been doing that for the last 3 weeks now, and they've been fantastic from day one. So thank you again to those guys. The most important thing which we've got out there is we've got this Sergio Garcia flag, which is signed from the 2017 Masters. It's all framed. It's a great piece of memorabilia. We've got Michael Vaughan tomorrow coming on, who is actually going to pick the winner for this. So you've got another 24 hours to get this in. It's £10 an entry. Every penny is going to go to the NHS. That's what we're raising it for. We're raising as much money as we possibly can. I know we've got a good amount already, but we'd always like to have a little bit more on there as well. So it's £10. You can enter as much as you want. And again, we will be pulling that draw out tomorrow. Also, don't forget to like and share our post. Like and share today. Get it out there. You know, the more people that sees this, the better it is for all of us. Gives people an hour of time just to pass. And we've had some great stories from a lot of great guests. And talking about our guest today, we've got Mr. Hurd down in the corner, the Mr. Electric Bike Man. How are we doing, Hurdy?
All right, smashed it this morning into Leeds, 15 minutes. Absolutely like Boardman. I passed all these cyclists again. No brother.
Well, that's what happens when you got an electric bike. Yeah, but we keep going on about it. You know, we'll have to go out, and I'll go out on me with my legs working harder than a motor working. You know, but the other person we've got today, again, Ryder Cup legend, 6 Ryder Cups. Howard Clarke. Howard, how are we doing?
Yeah, great. North Yorkshire is looking fantastic this morning.
Yeah, but
and you'll be looking forward to this one as well. You know, Clarke, we've got, you know, a Leeds supporter yourself. We've got a Leeds legend on with us. You know, welcome, Jermaine Beckford. Bex, how you doing? You okay?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problems whatsoever, mate. You know, we always enjoy our chats. You know, we've got to start. You know, I can see in the background there, mate. You know, you've got a couple of your Sky bets, and there's a famous picture back there. You know, we talk about memorabilia quite a bit. You know, to start with, I'm going to go straight in there. What is your favourite bit of memorabilia? Because you've got a few bits at the back there. You know, have you got a room big enough for everything which you've won?
No, I haven't. That's why I keep moving house.
What's your favourite bit of memorabilia, mate? What's the best bit of memorabilia you have?
My favourite would have to be that bit over there. So the champagne bottle, the red champagne bottle, the picture in the frame, and one of the 3 small ones over there. They're all from Man United game, January 3rd. And they sit pride of place just front centre whenever I'm in my own little quiet den away from all the madness. Just as a reminder of obviously what it meant, because I'm a Leeds United fan, and to be able to have scored a goal at Old Trafford, Stretford End, for Leeds as well, wearing the number 9 shirt is massive for me personally, you know. So whenever I come in here, I like that to be one of the first things I see when I step in.
Well, absolutely. We're going to talk about that in a little while. We're going to come to that definitely, because that year in particular was quite an important year for Leeds United. You know, was that? So we're definitely going to come and talk to that. But let's start from the very beginning, because you know your starting your football career wasn't the most glamorous on that side of it. You know, you were working, I believe, as well, and you were playing non-league football at, you know, in 03, you know, is where you started. You know, tell us a little bit about that start in your career in itself when you were down at, is it Wellstone you were down at, 82 appearances, 54 goals? So, you know,
Have you heard of that? You heard of the Wildstone Raider? Come on, seriously.
No.
This one guy, he's at every single Wildstone game, and he's like the biggest fanatic ever. And whenever the opposition come up, go towards him for a throw-in, pick the ball up and turn around to get ready to throw it in, he's always behind them. And he's a small, fragile, frail kind of guy. He's just so aggressive. He's like, you want some, son? You want some?
Oh no, I do not. Yeah, I know that. I know the little guy. He's famous on Facebook and Instagram. Yes, yeah. He fights everybody.
He just he tries to. He's not very good. So I was at Wildstone. I was working for RAC. I had my own van as well, sorting out windscreens and windows. Living in London, obviously, there's a lot of damage to people's cars and things going missing all the time, especially back in those days. And, you know, whenever something bad happens, who are you going to call? This guy.
Not Ghostbuster.
Well, Ghostbuster. I also read, this is typical you, because I do know you and I can say this, you know, you used the RAC van to get yourself to all the games because it was free petrol as well, I understand.
Yeah, of course. I had a fuel card. They gave me a fuel card. So when I'm trying, like in London as well, the traffic start. It's not like up north where a mile will take you a minute. Down there, a mile will take you 10, 15 minutes, just 1 mile. And it costs a lot of money, stop all the time. So listen, you've just given me a gold card. This is a free travel. So yeah, I'm gonna make use of it. If anybody wants, I'm on call.
Absolutely. You know, you had a good non-league career-wise. You had a good time down there. Obviously, 54 goals in 82 appearances. It's a good amount of goals in a really short period of time. So obviously that brought you into people's thought process and started people looking at you. I know you went on loan as well in 03, 04. So start of that. Leeds obviously was the big move which came about. How did that come about, firstly? And was there a lot? I understand there's a lot of other clubs who were interested in you in as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. Firstly, going back to the Wildstone thing, I got, how many was it? 53 or 54?
54 goals in 82 appearances.
That's unbelievable because I was drunk half those games.
So at Leeds, 126 appearances with 71 goals. Are we saying the same on that one as well?
No.
That's non-league football. That's non-league football for you.
Exactly. But when I was playing for Wildstone, obviously scoring a lot of goals and I was doing all right. I was doing okay. And my manager, Gordon Bartlett, he said he knew a guy, an agent of his, who could help me out. And, there's a couple of clubs that were sniffing around and would I be interested in having a chat with them? And I said, what do you mean by clubs? He said, professional football clubs. I'd never taken my uniform off that quickly before. I even contemplated driving the RAC van to a couple of trials. Imagine seeing that turning up. So I got a phone call from the agent and he said to me, the first club that was interested, Yeovil Town. And they didn't want to take me on trial. They didn't want to see me in training or anything. They wanted to sign me straight away. So I said, wow, of course, it's my dream to be a professional football club, regardless of who that is for or what league they're in. It's a professional football team and that's my dream. So yeah. So I took out a massive A4 map because phones, they never used to have the Google Maps or iMaps or whatever it is on them. So I got a highlighter pen and I marked my whole route from my house to Yeovil's training ground. And I set off and I was about halfway and my agent phoned me. I hired him and he ended up phoning me when I was about halfway through my journey and he said to me, Jermaine, whereabouts are you? Are you there yet? I said, no, I'm not there. I'm on my way. Don't worry. I'm on my way. I'll be there in no time at all. He said, all right, no, that's fine. But, there's a couple of other clubs that are interested in you. Would you be willing to go out over there on trial? I said, it depends what clubs they are because I've got a guaranteed contract here. So regardless, by the end of today, I'm going to be a professional football player. You can't take that away from me. And he said, well, look, there's Charlton, Palace, and Watford that are interested. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, hold on. Yeovil, no disrespect, or Charlton, Crystal Palace, Watford. These three teams are in the Premier League, in the Championship, and they're they're all pushing for a place in the Premier League. They're in promotion spots. They're doing really well. So I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. He said, right, I'll call Yeovil and tell them you've had some sort of issue with your car. Don't worry about it. I'll sort it out. But you get back home, go and rest up, and tomorrow you're going down to, the first one I went to was Crystal Palace. So I said, yeah, no problem at all. Spun the car around, followed the match.
Was this the RAC car as well, by any chance?
It wasn't. No.
You just a very quick one, Jermaine. You're quite pixelated in your picture. I don't know if you've moved your camera or anything. If you can just, are you on your phone or on your computer? It's just quite a bit pixelated. I know you like the look of yourself and all that kind of stuff. You know, we need the fans out there. Want to see you. Want to see your nice, pretty face. You know.
You, Andy, mate. You've been on the sunbed again. You look lovely.
No, I've been out on the bike, mate. You know, I'm trying to look like you, aren't I? That's what it is.
Is that any better? Or is
it is a little bit better. Yeah, it is a little bit better. It's just a bit. Yeah. It's still a little bit pixelated. That's all. So, but right. We can hear you perfectly well. We can hear you perfectly well. So that is better. Is that, to be fair, mate?
Yeah, sure. Right.
Yeah, we can see a nice, pretty face there.
I won't get animated anymore. I'll just stay still as a statue. So I ended up halfway on my journey down to Yeovil. I ended up spinning the car around and going back home. And then the following day, I headed over to Crystal Palace and trained with those guys for 3 or 4 days. I got to go to Selhurst Park and watch the guys play, and it was an amazing experience. I spoke to Alan Pardew afterwards, and he said, "Look, you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. You're not for us right now, but you know we're not saying no for the future. Just all the usual spiel that they give you, just not to annoy you or frustrate you in case something comes along later on in your career." Which was fine because I still got to experience being in and around all these guys. But I was driving around in an 8-year-old Renault Megane with dents all over it, with one hubcap missing. Like the window winders on the door, one of them didn't work. You know, like my car was a mess, and I jumped in with Fitzhall, and he had a brand new Aston Martin, and I thought to myself, "Wow, this is incredible!" And that was the first time I'd ever been up close to a car, let alone be inside one like that. So that was a massive eye opener. So then I left there and I went to Charlton, and again I was at Charlton for a few days. And the gaffer there said, "Look, again, you've done really well, but you're not what we need right now. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're on the right track, blah, blah, blah." Then I went to Watford the following week, and I phoned my agent when I was on the way, and I said, "Look, I'm giving this a couple of days. If it doesn't work out, you need to phone Yeovil because I'm not doing this all the time. This is mental." And he said, "Yeah, look, no worries." So I went to Watford. I was training with those guys for the day. I was with Marlon King and Lloyd Doyley and Joby McAnuff and Gareth McCleary, and like there's so many players there that were unbelievable. And I got to rub shoulders with these guys and talk to them and see what they're about and see how they train. And after the first training session, AD Boothroyd, the gaffer, came up to me and he said, "Look, I love what I see. You're exactly what I need. You know, we're third in the Championship. And we're pushing for playoffs. We're pushing for promotion to the Premier League, sorry. What do you reckon?" I said, "What do you mean, what do I reckon? I was going to sign for you. It didn't work out today." He said to me, "Look, go and wait in my office. Go and have something to eat and then go and wait in my office. I'll get the paperwork drawn up. Give your agent a call and tell him to come over and, we can get the paperwork signed and done and dusted. And tomorrow you'll be a professional football player for Watford Football Club in the Championship." And I was like, what is going on here? It is so crazy. It's just like it's a dream come true. You know, I'm originally I was brought up on a council estate, so to go from that to what I'm being offered now was phenomenal. You know, it's genuinely a dream. So I phoned my agent. I said, "Phil, they've offered me a contract. I'm going to sign it. You need to get here now." And he said, "Jermaine, unbelievable. Well done. I had every faith in you. Congratulations." And I said, "Oh, not another one, not another one. I can't afford me. I don't think you understand. My bank balance is -12. Negative. I've got no money to pay for fuel. I'm going to have to start using this card in a minute. So he said to me, look, I know it's been a long, it was about a fortnight from the very first hearing about Yeovil up until this point where he said, look, Leeds United are interested. They don't want to take you on trial. They don't want to take you they don't want you to go up there to train with them or anything. They know that Watford want to sign you, but they want to sign you. They've watched you for a little while now and they like what they've seen. What do you think? And I was like, what do I think? This is easy. Absolutely easy question. I said, look, 100% it's Leeds United. And he said, all right, great stuff. Well, get out of the training ground and then, go home, pick up a couple of bits, and then just hit the motorway, go straight up to Thorpe Arch. I'll send you the address. So I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I thought to myself, hold on a minute. I'm in the Watford manager's office, and I've just told him I'm going to sign a contract with him. He's gone to draw it up now. How the hell am I going to get out of this one? So I thought to myself, well, look, the best route is honesty. So just to be open and honest with him, I said, AD, look, I'm really sorry. I'm really thankful, first and foremost, for you giving me the opportunity to train with you guys and see how you operate. And I think you're amazing. I think you guys are going to do great. But I've been offered a contract with Leeds United and I'm going to take it. I need to get out of London and I think that's the best move for my career. And he looked at me and said, yes, I completely understand. And if I was in your position, I'll probably do the same thing, but it's a mistake. You'll get more minutes here, more game time, blah, blah, blah. So he was doing his best to try and keep me there. But ultimately, as soon as I heard the words Leeds United wants you, there was no turning back. Absolutely no turning back.
Well, I know Eddie as well, and he worked at Leeds and things like that, and he went to the same school as me, and he understands what Leeds United is about, and as you say, that pull for Leeds United must have been big. When you came up to Leeds that first time you drove into Thorpe Arch, how did that feel as a Leeds fan going in there, knowing that you're signing and you're going to be there for a number of years? What was that feeling like for you?
That was crazy, honestly, absolutely crazy, because when I was driving up the motorway and I saw like a cloud of black smoke just out the back of my car, I was thinking, don't you dare go down on me now. I should have bought the RAC truck. But when I got to Thorpe Arch, I pulled into the gates, into the training ground, and just seeing some of the other cars there, like by far my car was the worst one there by a long stretch, and just pulling up and knowing that all the guys that are going to be driving these cars, these highly successful football players and businessmen, etc., they're going to be my peers, my friends, my associates, my colleagues, people that I look up to, people that I'm going to learn from, and people that are going to give me all the right advice and help me to become the best that I can be. And that in itself, without anything to do with actually playing football, was so empowering, but it was also very nerve-wracking as well, because I hadn't been around highly successful people like the guys that I'm about to work with ever before. So there was a little bit of nerves in terms of what they're going to think of me, who I am, and where I've come from. But at the same time, I also know that my abilities and the things that I've been through in my life have molded me a completely different way to the way that it's molded other people. And as long as I try and find a way to channel my aggression, channel my focus and my determination, etc., I could be a success. I could be successful at this football club.
And who was it when you walked into the dressing room the first time? Who was it who took you under the wing? Who got you to one side, or who helped you on that first day? Because normally when you go to a new club, somebody will just grab you and this is where your kit is. This is where. Who was it for you who came up to you and looked after you?
It was Eddie Lewis. Eddie Lewis. So Eddie used to live in my block where I was living in Headingley, and he literally lived the next floor down from me. I think it was a beautiful place, kitted out really well. Mine was just like walls. I didn't have I had a beanbag in the middle of the floor and a massive TV. I thought that's all you needed. It was me. So I didn't know how to get to the training ground from home. So Eddie said to me, look, for the first couple of weeks you can jump in with me, but I get in really early and I leave quite late because he does a couple of other bits and pieces as well. So I said, yeah, this is great. It'll give me an opportunity to learn the routes to get to and from training, and it'll give me an opportunity to also to get to know somebody really well. Who was the other one? It was somebody else as well. Was it Joel? I can't remember. The name will come back to me shortly. So on the journeys in, just being able to have a chat with him, and he's from the States, and I've got family that live in the States, so I found it easy to communicate with him and get on really well with him. As soon as I got to the training ground, everybody was really friendly. Everybody was friendly. Paul Butler, Sean Gregan, Kells, hilarious, one of the funniest people I've ever met.
One of the mentalists as well.
I love that guy. Absolutely love him. But like it was so nice to see what it's like on a daily basis.
Well, and going into the Leeds itself, the first 2 years was a bit, I would say maybe a bit start. You went on loan a couple of times. Went up to Carlisle, went to Scunthorpe. Your career itself was obviously on the up. You were learning, obviously, with these players and Leeds. Obviously, the first season, I think you lost in the final as well of the playoffs as well. So, you're kind of seeing that side of it. Let's go to 2008, when realistically your career at Leeds really kind of went upwards. Becchio came in at the same time. You two formed a formidable partnership up top. How important was having that right partner for you at the top of the pitch at Leeds?
You know what? It was amazing. I was quite fortunate. Just before Luciano was Trez. It was Trez Orcando. And we had a great communication, a great understanding of each other as well. But when Luciano came in, he had a bit more composure about his all-round gameplay. And it was, you know what? It was really, I really loved having Luciano around because he didn't know much English. So I made it my aim, my goal, to teach him English, which is always fun when you're teaching somebody that doesn't know, because obviously you play with words a little bit. You throw in a little thing here and there, but he doesn't quite understand it, so you give it a different meaning. So I set him up once or twice and got him to say a couple of rude words to a couple of people that probably shouldn't have done. He was so innocent. It was so easy for me to do. But he returned the favour because he was teaching myself and my missus. Him and his missus were teaching myself and my missus Spanish. So he got his own back. Yeah,
I can certainly imagine. Looking at 2010, we'll go to 2010 pretty quickly, because 2010 is a year which is etched in, I suppose, Leeds United, the younger generation now watching Leeds United, edged in their brain. There's two things which majorly happened. Obviously, we got promoted, and obviously we won at Old Trafford. We'll go to the Old Trafford bit first. You've got one of the memorabilia behind you. What do you remember of that day? It must be a dream to go and play in front of 75,000 people in the first place.
Oh, it was incredible. So, you know what? In the week leading up to it, so I've said this to you a couple of times. The week leading up to games, if it's a Saturday game, I've always gone through town and just, sat down in a coffee shop or got some food or whatnot, and just get an idea of the feel of the magnitude of the next game that's coming. And there's games that with promotion rivals, etc., that are that are big, and everybody in town wants you to do well, you know. But then as soon as the Man United game was coming up, I was walking through Leeds City Centre, and I must have got out of my car, parked at the Trinity, and walked maybe 50 yards. I hadn't even been out of the car park yet, and there were about 20 people who was coming up to me and said, "Look, pull your finger out. You know what this means to us. It's a big deal, you know. Don't hold anything back. If you get a chance to 50-50, you make sure you cut them in half." So that gave me an idea of the magnitude of it. And then I did a little bit of research into the past games. And that kind of reiterated, it cemented to me what it really meant. And the rivalry between the two clubs, you know. So just knowing it was going to be a massive occasion, adrenaline fueled, I just knew we had to be on form to get the job done. But when we were on the coach driving to Old Trafford, and we literally could see Old Trafford in the distance, and the streets were lined with white scarves, white shirts over the head, and honestly, that was one of my favourite moments. One of my favourite moments of the whole day, just seeing the passion of all the fans. And I'm certain all of the guys I saw outside Old Trafford were not inside Old Trafford, because there were far too many. There were far more than 9.5K in there.
And that game itself, you know, obviously we went on and won, and you scored a lucky little goal. You know, it just came off your shins, and you know, miss hit it, and you know, and all that kind of stuff.
It's fine, I understand.
but you look at that game itself, and you look at that goal. You know, for you, that is one thing which every single Leeds United fan I know for a fact comes to you and talks about. You know, it's what happened after that in the changing room, because obviously we were going for quite a lot of stuff. It was in January. You know, we were going for, you know, to try and get up that year as well. It was an important year for the club. You know, with Simon and the team which you'd got together. What was the atmosphere then like in the changing room after? You know, was there a party after? Was there, you know, did everybody go out? Was it one of them, or it was like, right, that game's finished, we move on to the next one?
It was the most excitable changing room that I think I've been in ever. Because Man United have just finished winning the Premier League, so they've got the Premier League title last season, and they had, I think, were they top? I think they were top of the Premier League at the time, or second. I think they were top or second.
Yeah,
they're flying high, and there's that. We just played against 11 internationals, regular internationals for their respective countries. And we've beat them up, you know. We dominated them at their own home ground, and it could have been more. It should have been more.
Yeah.
And going into the changing rooms afterwards was just like, I can't believe we battered them. Yeah. It was like, look, right, where are we going? We're out. We got to go out. We got to celebrate. And then I'm pretty sure Gaffer said, yeah. You won't be celebrating. We got another game in the couple of days. So,
well, that's the thing. Was it something which was that the catalyst for the season then to really push you forward, that you had the confidence within the team to be able to do what we did at the end of that season?
Well, you know what? We always had confidence leading into that season, leading into the season prior as well. It was just a matter of managing the confidence in the right ways and not getting too big for our boots, and not just expecting to turn up and things roll over, you know, because whenever teams see Leeds United coming to their home ground or they're coming to Ellen Road, it's like an FA Cup final, you know. Every player for every team that plays against Leeds gives 120%, because A, they either hate Leeds, B, they are trying to get a contract with Leeds, so they really stay out of their skins, or C, they've got somebody that they're trying to oust, and they're trying to prove a point to their manager, you know. So we always knew, and it's still exactly the same now, and it will always be the same in the future. Whoever, you know, you have to be on top form, but that's where being a Leeds United player has its own magic, because when you put the shirt on and you turn up at Ellen Road and you walk out onto the pitch, you've got the 12th man in the stands. and a lot of people don't realise how intimidating Ellen Road is. It's an incredibly intimidating place, especially if you're not used to playing in front of crowds the size of Leeds United as well.
Well, that's the other thing for that season as well. That season in particular, you've got 28,000 pretty much every game, and you've got like teams which are getting 3,000 to 4,000 when you're going away from home. It's that intimidation when they do come to Ellen Road, and you made it a fortress that year. Yeah,
exactly. And those are the kind of players that, and not being disrespectful to them, they might not be fortunate enough to play in another arena the size of Ellen Road with that same atmosphere. That's a once in a lifetime occasion that many players only get to experience once. I was super lucky to have been able to play there for 4.5 years. So I want to say that I got used to it, but you never get used to it. You still, when you walk out onto the pitch, you still get the goosebumps as soon as you hear that first roar. You still feel the adrenaline pumping. It's like when there's a 50-50 challenge to be won, and you smash the other guy, and you hear the crowd get right behind you. You score a goal, and then everybody's cheering your name, and the goalkeeper makes an unbelievable save to keep the score 1-0 to Leeds, and the fans are right on his back screaming like, "We love you, unbelievable save," and things like that. So the adulation was incredible, as you know.
Well, as you're saying, the one thing which is amazing for me with Leeds United fans is that it's not just home. The home crowds are unbelievable, but away from home in particular. And again, you look at where you are now, that year, the away crowds, and even now when we're looking at this season, they fill every ground with the amount of tickets they can get. And I'm guessing that it was exactly the same when you were going. And that must be an advantage when you go into the away grounds, particularly when you're playing well.
Exactly. And especially to the ones that are the smaller grounds as well, where they're not used to seeing so many fans. Like we played against Chester in the cup. I can't remember. I think it was 5-2. I think we beat them. And no disrespect to them, it's a nice ground. It's small. It's very compact, and they're used to having 1,500, 2,000 fans, and then we just came and sold out the whole thing, and it was like we were playing at home, but we were away. That's just exactly what it's like for every away trip. Like Leeds United have got the best fans in my opinion in the world.
Yeah,
I freaking love them.
Totally agree. Let's go to we're looking at the 10th year anniversary tomorrow of a famous day down at Leeds United. You talk about the 12th man of being the crowd. That day in particular, it was massively needed. Talk us through a little bit of the preparation for that game. What Simon was saying to you as players. If you knew the team, did you know the team a day before, 2 days before, 3 weeks, 3 days before? Was it just a normal week coming up into the game itself?
Well, you know what? One thing that I love about Simon Grayson, Glyn Snodden, and Ian Miller, Dusty, is that they never change their prep work, regardless of what the game is, what game it is, who we're playing against. Like we played against Man United. Our prep work that week was exactly the same as when we played against Exeter at the beginning of the season. It didn't change, and it in the lead up to the Bristol game as well, it didn't change. Nothing changed. Everything was exactly the same, and they like to keep that continuity going. They don't want anybody to feel any different, because we've got a formula that works. So why change it just because it's the last game of the season? We've done absolutely wonders to get to a point where we only need one win against a team that are mid-table, who have got nothing really to play for apart from personal pride. So let's just do what we know, do what we do, and see where that takes us. As long as everybody's on point, on form, we're going to come away with the 3 points. We know that we've got the best squad in the league, so the only team that can beat us is ourselves.
And you knew what you needed to do before that game as well. So going out, you knew a win would secure the promotion. I want to know more about what happened at half-time, because I think at half-time, obviously, we got a man sent off. stupidly, as we all know, and as what we've all seen. What was that half-time team talk like? What was that? What was Simon and Snods and thing? You were the captain as well, so what was all this going on? In the changing room, how was that the motivation point to what we got in that second half?
You know what? It was. It's funny because we came in at half-time and we said, look, everybody's shouting and screaming at each other, and everybody's frustrated with the situation. You've got Max over there in one corner crying. You've got the gaffer standing there and he's fuming. You've got me. It's the first time I've been able to lead the club out as a captain at Ellen Road, and I'm thinking to myself, Max, mate, you're trying to ruin my big day. It's a nightmare. So I ended up. So the gaffer said, look, everybody calm down. Let's just refocus, resync, and just realize what we're actually here to do, what we need to do. We know we're the better side of the two of us, even with 10 men. For the first 10, 15 minutes, let's try and keep a tight ship, try and keep everything smooth, plain sailing, do exactly as we were doing the first half, but, don't take any risks. If you're getting closed down, put the ball in the channel, Bex, Luciano, get on the end of it, and then we'll ease our way into the game. The longer the game goes on, we're by far the fitter side of the two. We've got more to gain from this game than anybody else. So, that in itself is an added motivation. So go out there, enjoy the game, don't do anything silly. What was it, 3 minutes?
Then you go 1-0 down. It's like, you must be thinking, my God, we down again, we're down to 10 men. They scored quite an easy goal as well. And you must be thinking, my God, is it going to be our day? We're back in the playoffs and all this kind of stuff going on. Was anything said at that point? You being the captain, was it a motivational thing on the pitch, or was it just everybody looked at each other and go, let's roll our sleeves up?
Yeah, after 30 seconds, it was when they scored and we were like, we were just recovering, took kickoff, passed the ball back, passed it back, and I looked around, I looked at the rest of the boys, and everybody's heads were down, and it looked like they were thinking, right, we're down and out. So I passed a message on to somebody, maybe Doyler in the middle, and I said to him, look, get everybody's hopes up, tell them we've got this. Don't worry about that. It's a minor setback. He must have done a great job, because in no time at all, we were back on the front foot, and then the crowd were right back behind us as well. And it felt like we were the team. After about 2 or 3 minutes of going behind, it felt like we were the team with 11 men and they had 10 men, because we just dominated possession again. We were first at every challenge. We were passing the ball left, right, and centre, picking them off. Johnny Howson, when he came on, changed the game as well. He put a little composure in there, and when the ball went up to Luciano, you see it, a great first touch, and the set for Johnny Howson to come around it. Johnny didn't have to break stride. Luciano set it right into his path, and it was a great strike from Johnny. And that's the kind of thing that we were used to seeing from Johnny Howson week in, week out in training. We know he's got it. That's why Luciano set it to him. And then from there, you saw we didn't really celebrate it, because we knew that we were on the front foot. You don't celebrate something if you haven't completed the task at hand. So we just got back to work. And as soon as that goal went in, all of the boys from Bristol's heads, they just dropped and they looked around, and you could see it. Every little ounce of confidence they had just diminished in the blink of an eye. But for us, it felt like everything they lost in that moment came directly to us, and we gained it, and we were just a different animal from there.
And then we talk about misses again, don't we? And it's you scored another important. You scored quite an important goal after that one, didn't you? Celebration, everything else. From that point, and as you say, that 12th man of the crowd, you could hear the crowd there. It's one of the noisiest times it's been at Ellen Road. That must have been, for you personally, one of your best moments in football.
Absolutely, hands down. So the reason behind that, the reason being is, when I signed, I'd been involved in a playoff final at Cardiff, and we lost against Watford 3-0. I've been to Wembley Stadium playoff final and lost 1-0 to Doncaster. Playoff semi-finals over 2 legs, lost against Millwall. So those 3 in the years leading up to, exactly, it's painful. It's painful. So that's the 3.5 years, 4 years leading up to this exact moment. So for me, from a personal perspective, it was a huge relief to be able to be in the driving seat at last and avoid the playoffs, which we have had a nightmare trying to get through. So as soon as Bradley had his shot and the defender blocked it and the ball bounced right in front of me, I said to myself, wow, this is perfect. It's written, you know. There's no way I can miss this. All I have to do is hit it hard and low into the ground, keep it under the goalkeeper, and try and put it as close to his hips as I can, because it's difficult for the keeper to move his arms all the way down to his hips that quickly. He's expecting to extend himself as much as he can. So as soon as I made the clean connection, I knew it was in, and I was straight off into the corner flag, mate. Oh my God. No, it was that eruption. It was the eruption. It wasn't just me feeling that relief. It felt like the 34,000, 35,000, however many thousands of people were in Ellen Road at the time, all felt exactly the same thing that I felt at that exact moment. You know, it was something that was destined to happen. It was meant to be.
And you look at that point, you know, obviously then the celebrations and everything else. You leave Leeds then after that. You leave, you know, you've just got to the pinnacle. You've just got to that point. You're captain. You just scored the goal. You're going up into the Championship. And then you leave and go to Everton. You know, that must have been a real difficult decision for you, or was that decision taken out of your hands a little bit?
It was a little bit of both. It was I was hoping that we were able to come to some kind of agreement once the season had finished. But it wasn't meant to be for one reason or another. I wasn't trying to be too greedy. I wasn't trying to be the top earner or anything like that. It was just one of those things that my value wasn't as high as well, to be fair, you had Ken Bates as your chairman, so what else would you expect? You know, let's be honest about it. You know, we had a few of them. It's you know, it's one of them. You know, but going to Everton, obviously, you know, then playing in the Premier League, you know, again, a childhood dream. It's, you know, you go in there, you spend a year at Everton. It's how did you know, David Moyes? Was there other clubs interested in you, or was it just David Moyes who was wanting you? No, there were other clubs interested in me. I don't really want to name too many because I've kind of gotten over it and gotten through it, and I made the best move for me at that time, and it was an unbelievable move for me as well. And the people that I got to rub shoulders with and again learn from and try and experience what they do on a daily basis and see how that's different to what I've just been through for the last 4.5 years. And it was the next level. It was something completely different and something that I was absolutely excited, ecstatic, and I was buzzing to be there. You know, I'm still good friends with a lot of the guys from Everton now as well. Walking into there, it's another big club, and it's a family unit. So I've gone from one big family unit to another one. And that's why I say that was probably the best move that I could have made for myself at that time. And I've got to ask you the question. You scored at Anfield for Everton against Liverpool. You scored for Leeds against Man United. I know the answer to this one. Which is the biggest goal in those two? Or do we not need to even ask that question? Do you need to ask that question? I don't, but I would like to know, though. I would like to know, being playing for Everton and scoring at Anfield, that, you know, and going 2-1 up at that point, that it's a huge thing, and obviously puts you straight into the Everton hearts at that point as well. Yeah. Do you know what? I've been quite fortunate with derby goals, if I'm honest. I managed to get a hat-trick for Leicester against Nottingham Forest as well. So,
It's not a bad thing either.
no, exactly. But for me, it's got to be the Leeds one. It's got to be the Leeds one because of what the club means to myself, being a fan and knowing what it means to the fans as well. You know, it's followed closely by the Everton one against Leicester for obvious reasons. But you know, it's the winner. I managed to score the winner.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We could talk about you. There's loads of other stuff about your career, but you know, you went off to. I'm only halfway down the clubs here. It's like, you know, where do we go from here? Obviously, Leicester, Hurd, you know, went on loan, hat trick in the final for Preston. You know, you don't get much better than that sometimes as well. You know, again, I'm guessing that was under Simon as well at that point.
You just glossed over the fact that I got 3 over the course of 2 legs in the playoff final as well. I got 6 goals in the playoff.
We're running out of time, Jermaine. You know, we just like talking to you. We're stroking it. We're stroking it.
Yeah, we are stroking it.
You know what? It was an absolutely amazing occasion, and I've always had bad luck with the playoffs, as you right know. You know, and Preston as well have had, prior to that moment, had terrible a terrible record in the playoffs. I think they'd been to 9 playoff finals and lost all 9 of them, and this was the 10th time they managed to play in the playoffs. So leading into that game as well, the fans were a little bit sceptical about what the outcome would be. Because we're playing against Swindon, and Swindon were, in my opinion, they were by far the best footballing side in the league, and we just dominated them off the park, battered them. I scored an early goal, and then I think we got the first 2 goals within the first 15 minutes or so. And then I scored my second about half an hour in, and then we cleaned up. I got the hat trick in the second half. You know how it goes. To
be fair, I don't know how it goes. To be fair, on that one. You know, I know what it's like running out in front of 38,000, but, you know, I don't know what it's like scoring a hat-trick, my friend. We're going to go to Hurdy now. Hurdy's got a little bit of a quiz he does for everybody. So we're going to go to Hurdy. We've got some questions then coming in from AJ as well. So Hurdy, over to you, my friend, just to go through your daily quiz.
Jermaine, thanks for giving us an hour of your time, mate. It's great as a Leeds, myself and Howard, and of course we're all Leeds United supporters. It's great to listen to somebody who kind of plays, fans don't hear that players are that devoted to a club, and we all appreciate it. Cheers, mate.
That's my thank you.
In 2010,
no. In 2010, when Leeds, in 2010 when Leeds got promoted, you won League One Player of the Year, but didn't win the Club Player of the Year. Who won it?
Fabian Delph.
Is that your final guess?
I'm glad you know it's a guess.
It was
Johnny
Paddy
Hill.
Kisnorbo.
Paddy.
Yeah, it was.
That was my second guess.
Right, I asked this question a lot to people because it was an amazing weekend. But in 2012, London had the Olympics, as you remember. On the Saturday, we got 3 athletic track and field gold medals. Who got them?
If you were listening the other day, you'd know this.
Yeah.
You, me,
No
and Andy.
pressure.
Any idea? I'll give you a clue.
Mo. It was definitely Mo.
Yeah.
It was
Taflon, face of 2012 girl.
Jess. Was it Jess?
Yes.
Jessica.
Yeah. Jenna Ennis, and then
triple jump, long jump.
Yeah, good shout.
I know his name as well. Oh no! I know his name. He's ginger fella.
Yeah, correct and right.
It's horrible when you can see. It's horrible when you can just see the face in there. It's like, you know.
Greg.
Greg.
Rutherford.
Well done.
He's got it.
Well done. Come on, son. Come on. Right. Leeds United won the FA Cup in 1972. Who did they play and beat?
No, I know this as well.
I'll give you a clue. It's from the area you were born and bred in. One of the teams.
Chelsea.
One of London teams. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was Arsenal. They wear red. That's why I blank out every team that wears red.
Arsenal is correct, yeah. Flying header. We had the old strike flying header. I have asked this question, but this is always an interesting one. Patrick Bamford was bought from which club when he was signed for 1.6 million to Chelsea? Where did he come from?
Middlesbrough. No, not Middlesbrough.
I'll give you a clue. I'll give you a clue. Odgie always talks about it.
Do you actually listen to him when he talks, yeah?
He ain't got Facebook, so we can say what we want about Odgie.
Oh, no. I don't know.
Same colour shirt as Berra. Did it. Not Forest.
Forest. That's what I said. That was my first guess.
Whatever.
Hey, I'm not Mutton Jeff, let me tell you. I might be daft. Hey, right, this is a question about Leeds area. What ex-president of Leeds has one of the most beautiful country homes where the public walk around and look at his bird gardens and penguins and animals? What's it called? Just outside Leeds. Country house. Come on. On your way to Harrogate.
Don't give him the postcode as well.
Harrogate was a bit posh for me. I didn't go over there.
Straight to Harrogate. What do you pass? That big, beautiful country home.
It's called Chapeltown. That's where I was moving around.
I'm going to tell you what it's called, and then you remember it's called Harewood House.
Harewood House. It's just around the corner.
There you go.
It's lovely there.
Question.
I walked there once.
Last question. Leeds are how many points ahead of third place Fulham as we stand at the moment in the league?
It is. Is it 4?
It is. Look at Howard's fingers.
7.
See, I'm not cheating.
Do you not listen to anything I say either when we're talking?
Jermaine, just a quick one. I know Howard's got a question which is interesting because I've got a lot of football friends. And what time in your career did you think, when you've got that move where you've gone to Everton, where you're thinking, I'm thinking this is going to help me when I retire, you know what I mean? Where you've got a 3-year contract where you're thinking of yourself and you've got to do what's best for you. And when did you think about that? You know what I mean? When you just thought, that move's going to help me in 10 years' time, you know what I mean? Life-changing type of thing.
Leeds.
Yeah.
But not for the financial aspect of it. Not for the financial aspect of it.
Yeah.
For the...
opportunity.
Yeah. Just for opening the door and, fulfilling... For giving me the opportunity to fulfill my dream from a child.
Yeah.
I think that's more than any money in the world, more than any business opportunities that come off the back of it. I think it's for me to have signed that very first contract with Leeds filled a space in my heart so much. It's just given me self-fulfillment. So I'm just happy I'm just happy and content with everything from that very first moment onwards.
Fantastic. Cool. AJ's down in this corner. He's got some questions from Facebook and Twitter, I believe. AJ, over to you.
Morning, Jermaine.
Hiya, fella. How are you? It's afternoon, by the way. Don't know where you've been.
Yeah. He says it every day.
Mate, yeah, honestly. Sunday, Fridays, every day is Sunday. Actually, guys, this is a question from Jez, and it's actually a question for Howard. Howard, you're a big Leeds fan, as we all know. What did you admire about Jermaine the most as a player?
Just build his ego up a bit more, Howard, yeah?
Yeah, I'll try to think about it. The one thing, my son, Ben, my eldest son, Ben, was a striker for his clubs when he played football. And his ability was to be in the right place at the right time. And I think Jermaine had that ability built in. And it's quite amazing, but it's a feeling thing. I asked my son Ben, and he didn't know how he did it, but he just got this feeling that he had to be near post, back post, centre of the goal area, near the penalty spot. He just had that feeling, and he scored for fun as a kid, right up to getting a trial for Harrogate Town. I mean, is that the kind of way that you thought about it, Jermaine? Because that seems to be what every striker has, that little bit of position. Patrick Bamford, you know, a lot of people knock him, but he's in the right spot so many times.
Yeah, he's just getting the right spot.
Yeah.
Just can't finish.
Is that how it was with you, Jermaine?
Yeah, it's do you know what? It's not something that I've ever really thought about. It's something that I've just found myself in the right place, like you mentioned, the right place at the right time. I've always thought, right, if the ball falls here at the edge of the 6-yard box or 5 yards away from the penalty spot, will I be able to score if it lands to me? If the answer is yes, then I'm going to make sure that's where I am. If the answer is no, then I'm going to find a position on the pitch that I feel I will be able to score from. So I didn't. It's not really something that I'd ever really thought about. It's just something that came naturally, and it sounds like your boy had the same thing. It's good. It's amazing. But going on to Patrick briefly, because you mentioned Patrick Bamford. The role he plays for the squad, for the team, is, for me, I love it. I think it's an amazing role. I think he does a great job with it as well. I think the problem with him playing that role is he doesn't have somebody that plays off him. He is the focal point of the team. If you had another player that was playing up alongside him, everybody would be completely 100% praising him, singing his praises for the positions that he finds himself in, the work that he does do, you know, and not necessarily talking about the goals that he doesn't score because he's not always in the right position. I was lucky. I had players like Trezor Kandol and Luciano Becchio that did the work like what Patrick does, but I did the other side of it, which was playing off the shoulders. I was being a pest. I was finding myself in the right place at the right times. And if Patrick had somebody like, not necessarily just like myself, but somebody that liked to play off him on the shoulder, etc., then I feel we will be bigger fans of him than we currently are. But for me, he's my favourite striker in the league at the moment.
The other thing I had to ask one question, Jermaine, if I may. I retired probably about 43 months ago, but I'm not counting. But when my job with Sky finished, that was it. You know, I thought there's no other way, because I'd retired at 63. I'm now 65, going on to the clickety-click. How is retirement for you? Because you've been retired best part of a year now, is that right?
Almost a year now.
Did you plan for it?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
Over the last few years, I've had 3 major knee operations, 1 on my right knee and 2 on my left knee. And it got to a point where the surgeon said to me, look, you'll definitely be able to come back from this injury. But it's a matter of quality of life after you finish playing football. Do you want to sign on with another team and play another 2 or 3 years? You can do, but you will need a knee replacement, a full knee replacement before you're 40.
Wow.
But then if that's the case, then everything that we do as a family, like I've got 3 kids, I'm married, you know, we've got pets and all sorts, and we live a very active lifestyle. You wouldn't be able to do all of that sort of stuff. So that started playing on my mind as well. So as much as I physically can still play football, do I want to run the risk of losing my kneecap, which I really like, you know? No, the answer is no. So, I had to call it a day, but I'm super busy. Like I mentioned, I've got 3 kids. We've got a business, Supernova, which is a vegan wellness company, which is doing really well, especially in these times now as well, where everybody's more concerned with health and wellness and keeping fit and recovery, etc. This is something that we found is helping so many different people. of various ages. So I've got that. I've got the kids. I'm trying to homeschool them, which is interesting. I'll be honest, guys.
I've got three. I can't even do the fractions.
Yeah. I thought I was patient. I'm not as patient as I thought I was.
Jermaine, okay. So, Jermaine, Luke asks, as a youth player, who did you try and model your game on?
Do you know what? I used to love players like Ian Wright, like Andy Cole, like Gabriel Batistuta, like Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, like Romario, like the list is endless, honestly. There's so many football strikers out there that I've always enjoyed watching from when I was a little boy. Just seeing the difference, like, and as you can tell with the list that I've just given you there, no two players are alike. You know, I like to try and take a little bit from everybody, and the things that they've learned themselves. I try and learn that and then put my own little twist on it as well. Have I been able to do as much as those guys? I don't think so, but I know that I've given it a really good go, and I'm pretty sure they're saying, look, some of the stuff that I've done, you know, they might not have been able to do. So I'm content. I'm happy with that.
Brilliant. Okay, just one last question, and this one comes from John. You talk a lot today about Leeds' 12th man. Yeah. And whilst it was intimidating for clubs to come to Elland Road, where did you travel to and the most intimidating ground to play?
But then
Millwall.
Millwall. The Den, yeah, Millwall. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we were playing away at Millwall, and I think it might have been 2008-9 season. So we travelled down there, stayed over, and then got on the coach on the following day to head to the Den. And as you guys know, when you go to the Den, there's one way in through the archway and one way out. We were on the coach on the way in, and they were pelting us with rocks like this big. They popped windows, they popped the tires. I genuinely thought, there's no way we're getting out of this thing. No way. Like, I was scared. I was scared. Because I just thought, listen, it's football. Like, you can throw as much verbal abuse at people as you like. You know, everybody, it's that water starts back. But as soon as there's a threat of some sort of physical violence, and we're talking about thousands of people against, 25, 30 people, there's only really going to be one winner. And that was probably the most intimidating atmosphere I think I've been involved in.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Jermaine, there's so many questions. Obviously, we're running out of time, but thanks ever so much for answering those ones. Thanks, mate.
Jermaine, we've got two more questions for you, which we ask everybody who comes on. One is, who would be the person who would get you into the most trouble on a night out?
Oh, wow. There's been a few. Who got me in the most trouble? You know what? There was one time I was with, there were a few of us that we were out. And I remember Fabian Delph. So he was one of the younger boys at the time. And we went out to a nightclub, wicked, it was great fun. And then went to a fast food joint for something to eat afterwards. I turned around, minding my own business, talking to one of the other boys about getting a taxi to go home. And I just heard a commotion in the background. I thought, what on earth is going on here? And I saw Fabs, skinny little boy, young, squaring up to this big guy. And the guy was about 6'4", 6'5". And he looked like he lived in the gym. The guy was massive. And Fabs has never been big. And I thought to myself, this is going one of two ways there. I don't think I like where this is aiming. So I ended up grabbing Fabs and saying to him, look, you need to remember where we are and what we stand for. You know, this is much bigger than just a bunch of boys on a night out. This is about livelihood. This is about reputation. This is about leading by example. So dragged him out, pushed him over to one side, sat down, started eating, and then I heard another commotion, and it was him again. So I ended up saying, look, enough's enough. Grabbed him away from that. We just jumped in a taxi and we went home. So
fantastic.
Yeah, back in the day, it was Fabian Delph.
And for a 4-ball at golf, I know you're interested in your golf now. You know, you're getting into it. A 4-ball, dead or alive, who would be your favourite 4-ball? Who would you choose?
Don't have to be golfers.
It can be anybody.
Anyone. Any sporting legends you loved.
Oh, man. That is a tough one. Because there's so many people. I don't know whether to go for silly people or people that are sensible that we're going to win.
Yeah, you go for whoever you want. We've had from Muhammad Ali to comedians.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
And all sorts. All sorts.
I would say, right, I'll try a different approach. I'll go Kevin Hart, comedian. He's flipping hilarious. Little fella as well, so you can take the mick out of his height, you know, for him, etc. I would say, I want to say Muhammad Ali, but I can't because he's already been said.
No, you can say what you want, mate.
No, it's your 4-ball.
I'll say Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury because he's funny in a serious kind of way, but he's also got a hell of a lot of stories as well, and he's been through a lot of things in his life that lots of us have been through, and you know he's just so open and honest with it.
Yeah, I agree.
To pick his brains on exactly what it was that turned him to that point where he felt like he could open up and not worry about being judged, because I think ultimately we're all worried about our egos being bruised a little bit when we talk about how we feel and that sort of thing. So I think he would be in there as well. What's that? That's 2, isn't it?
One more.
I'd say Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I was going to say Have you watched his documentary, Jermaine?
Yeah, with all my free time. Yeah.
No, honestly, if you get in the evenings, it's brilliant. It's the first. I told Howard to watch it. The first. I think it's released today. Actually, the next lot, but it's been Netflix, 6 right? Now. 6 on Netflix. It's brilliant. It's really good. Really good.
Yeah, because it's him, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the boys in that team. Yeah.
You want Rodman in now, didn't you?
Yeah. That's an unbelievable lineup. But there's so many people that I could pick from, you know, and give a solid reason as to why. But I think I'll stick with those guys. I think my missus will be a little bit.
Jermaine, we could have gone on for another hour easily with you today.
Yeah.
We try and do it in an hour. We've gone over by 10 minutes, but who cares? Hey, we talk about Leeds United and talking about some really good times in your career, mate. We do really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do really appreciate it. No problems whatsoever. Tomorrow,
still Beckford time.
It's still Beckford time. I'm going to say, Clarke, have you got the Beckford time there? Is it what time's that, Howard?
3:19.
That looks like a very impressive clock as well. Does that one? You know, is that a Masters clock? That one. We've got. Again, thank you, Jermaine. Really do appreciate you coming on. We've got another great guest tomorrow in Michael Vaughan. He's going to be on tomorrow, so we're going to be talking a lot of cricket tomorrow, in particular about the Ashes and going to Downing Street, I would imagine, because they were a bit drunk if they can remember it. So we will be talking about that. We've got to thank our streaming people today. You know, Simply Video. Thanks again, as always, there in the background. SGH Sports and Events. If you go onto our Facebook page, please like the page. Please share the page. Because, as I say, all these things are coming out while we're in lockdown in particular. We will be carrying them on after as well, but on a smaller basis, but we will be doing it. But like there, They do some great stuff on there with the belts, with the tours, with everything else which they do, and obviously what we're doing here, so you'll get some notifications for that. Also, we've got to thank Triton Security and Graham Fox. Thank you very much for sponsoring the guys. Anybody who wants to sponsor us, you can. It's not a problem. Get in touch again through the SGH Sport and Events page. And also the last thing, which is the most important thing at the minute, we are trying to raise as much money as we can for the NHS. We have the Sergio Garcia signed Masters flag, which is all framed with pictures. All signed is the flag itself from 2017 when he won the Masters. So it's a great prize for somebody to win. We will be drawing that tomorrow at some point as well. So first thing, last things for me. Thank our guests as well. Clarke, thank you all as always for coming on. Hurd, we'll see you tomorrow. Yes. And Jermaine, stay safe, my friend. We will be, I'm sure we'll see you soon down at Ellen Road. Always great to speak to you, mate, and thank you very much. Cheers, thank you.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys. Thanks. Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers, Jermaine.
Cheers.